Madam Speaker. You know, the Honorable Chief Kut has a new profession. He's a rising star in social media. He always writes very nice tweets. I read him, and I think he's a rising star. So that's another hat he's wearing. Notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, I would like to stand to support this bill and say that I proudly sat in this committee because I'm a member of the Lands Committee, and I think when you say we did a good job, then we actually did a good job. But I would like to say this. This bill is coming at the right time in Kenya to regulate this sector, because this sector is developing very, very fast, especially sectional properties, where you have a lot of apartments coming up and they're up for sale. And more important, there are very many foreigners that are coming into this country to invest in these properties. And because of that, when you see that other people from other jurisdictions are coming in, it's good that we lay the ground well, so that as they come in to make the investment, they are coming in to invest in a regulated area. And that's why this sectional properties bill is important. Madam Speaker, I remember another time I wanted to buy a property, and we did all the paperwork. Then we realized that these people had actually come in, they'd done their property, but they didn't have all the approvals. And there's a danger that anybody who had made payments on that property, the county council or the county government of Nairobi probably would have come demolishing. Why? Because these guys didn't know. And whoever they had contacts with to do, they allowed them to just put up a huge structure of around 140 apartments. And there it was when my lawyer said, no, we would like to see the approval from the county government. They said, no, we don't have an approval. Why? Because the area is not properly regulated. So I think with this kind of a law that's coming in place in this country, we are going to see sanity in the area. Kenyans, too, have lost money, a lot of monies. And there's several cases that have been talked about where people buy properties off plan and they make payments, and 1 year after you come and realize that the property you had paid for does not exist. We have seen Kenyans who had actually paid for a certain property of a certain design. And when it is at offline, when it is completed, they go and check. Actually, the rooms are probably a 5 by 3. And yet they paid for a 10 by 10 or 50 or 300 square feet. When they go out there to look at this property, they realize that it is not what they paid for. So this is a law that is coming at the right time. Madam Speaker, I would like also to say this from an economics point of view. When we liberate this sector and we are actually giving out titles to these sectional properties or apartments, we are actually giving an opportunity to develop the economy further, because there'll be the power to borrow and invest more. Because if I have a property and I have a title, I'll be able to walk into a bank and get a loan and come out and even invest more within the same economy. That way, there'll be further development of the economy, and the GDP of this country will increase. Interestingly, you see, a country like Kenya measures certain square kilometers. Now, when this property starts going up and you are starting to offer titles as buildings go up, you're actually increasing, in a way, the square kilometers of the country. Now, you talk about the volume of the country instead of just the surface. Now, when you do that, what you're doing is you're expanding the jurisdiction of the country to invest in. The business jurisdiction of a country is expanded. When you do that, there'll be bigger and better development of the economy, especially in the real estate, where there is a faster development in this country. You realize that Kenya's GDP will grow very, very, very fast. Why? Because I own a property on a 3rd floor or on a 4th floor, and I can use that property on the 3rd floor with a title, go to a bank, get money, and invest in the same economy. So we are growing the width and length of this country. And in doing that, therefore, the country gets better. Madam Speaker, the regulations of this law that we are passing will bring sanity in planning. You realize that the many small buildings that we had in Nairobi are phasing out. They're giving way to the high-end apartments and buildings that are going up. That brings sanity in the planning. And we're going to see even lesser informal settlements. Because a building of that nature that comes up and is put in place there, and you know that people can buy into that building and stay, people would rather sell their 1 acre plot. Instead of putting one building or 20 buildings on it, they would put one tall building, and therefore, so we're going to regulate. We're going to regulate the physical planning of this country, make this country even more beautiful. I saw what they have done in Singapore. And I think Singapore is one of the countries that is well planned. And they have a rule that you can't just put one single unit. You put one huge unit, very many, over 3,000 apartments, and out of those, you'll be able to sell and give to other people. And government is doing that. And you realize that it comes out as one of the countries that planned because of the efforts in actually sectional properties. So, Madam Speaker, this is a good thing for this country. One important element that I note inside this bill is management. A lot of these properties that we have right now are being managed by owners who have sold almost everything. They've sold everything, but they still want to make money through the management of those properties. But this sectional properties bill now puts the management of the property in the hands of the people that have bought and not the people who developed or who sold. That way, therefore, people have a say of that committee that makes the decision. But today, the management teams or the management committees of these properties are people who do not even know who the tenants are. And yet, I own part of the building, but I am not part of the management, so that the open spaces and the other amenities of the building are being managed by other people at an exorbitant fee. You realize sometimes that you are an owner of the apartment, but the service charge that comes on every month is so high that you wish you didn't own a property. You can't afford. You'd rather have rented a house, because it's like you are paying rent for a property that you own. But if this management now, like this law is proposing, is to put the management of the property in the hands of those people who have bought and are now owning that property, it makes it easier to make sober decisions, or decisions that are thought of very well. I have seen people who are being evicted, almost being evicted from a property they own because they can't manage the service charge. And if you ask, what is this service charge? They tell you fees and things that you don't even, they'll tell you, we pay the security firm this much, we pay the people cleaning these corridors this much, and eventually they heap all that. You realize that you could actually use the money you're paying every month to actually rent a house instead of paying the service charge. But with the management structure that is proposed in this bill, it gives us an opportunity that the people who have bought the property can now manage the property themselves and manage it more prudently and manage in such a way that it is economical for you to be able to stay in that property. So, Madam Speaker, this brings a new chapter in the management of this. I know a lot of these people who property developers and are doing this management are most likely to complain about this bill. And probably as we go to committee, we'll see a lot of vested interests as we go to committee of the whole House on this bill, because it will take away or it will remove people who have just been earning a lot of money out of property. You realize that some of them say, we are lawyers managing this property, and these lawyers must be paid for. We are estate managers, and these asset managers want to be paid. Everybody wants to be paid by the same people who own the building, and yet those people do not have a say. So for me, the management structures proposed within this bill gives us an opportunity to do that. The other important thing, which I must say, I know my time is up, is vetting of developers. Vetting of developers is one of the most important things here. That not just anybody can come into this country and just develop. They must be vetted so that we know what they're doing. There's a lot of money laundering in this country through real estate development and development of properties. But now when we go into the section that talks about vetting of developers before they come in to do what they're doing, we are going to rescue this country from money that is illicit and money that comes in and floods an economy and kills the economy of this country. I want to thank you for the time.